Hello and welcome to the FatBoss Guide to Elegon 10-man heroic in the Mogu'Shan vaults.
Yeah, this fight hasn't changed too much from heroic. It's actually very similar to normal, really.
It's still a very decent encounter.
Oh, definitely.
And it's still very challenging. I mean, the main thing they've done to the encounter is just made the numbers a lot higher. It's just been scaled up.
Now, because of this, if you haven't seen our normal mode guide, then please do click the link on the screen now via annotation, and that'll take you over there, because we're not going to be covering, like, all the old mechanics. It's the same shit, but just more. So, yeah, just go watch that, and then we'll continue with this.
Now, for this encounter, you want to bring 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 6 DPS, ranged being much better.
Yeah.
I mean, some melee can be good, but ranged are stronger on this fight. And one of the major differences is that the energy vortex, which is the big celestial shield thing around the encounter area, that now creates line of sight. So if you're inside, you can't attack or heal anything on the outside, and vice versa. So you need to keep this in mind. But while you're still inside the shield, then you still get the damage and the healing increase. And you want to be dropping your stacking debuff on around 7 to 10 stacks.
Yeah, just frequently, really. Now in Phase 1, a lot of it's the same, but there are some key differences, mainly with the ad, but the Celestial Breath still goes off, so yeah, that's the breath on the tanks. Just make sure it's not facing the raid, and maybe hit a cooldown when that's coming up, like a small one. And also, he still spawns the ad, however the ad spawns a lot more frequently, and there is well, it changes completely, really.
The ads will still do the debuff on players that reduces the healing by 50%. You can just remove it. However, it hits more than 2 players now, which means you need to heal up more people. And at 25%, the ad will still do his pulsing AoE, so you need to make sure you kill him quickly. However, because you can use line of sight, when the ad reaches 25%, you want to tank him outside. So as soon as he hits 25%, tank him outside. And then once he reaches 0% and he does an explosion, because it's line of sight, no one will get hit inside the shield. However, if no one gets hit by it at all, then everyone will get hit for an absolute absurd amount of damage, and it's a wipe. So
basically this whole Phase 1 is all to do with sending one person in to soak this damage. It is Old Traxian again, basically. So what you need to do, you just need to make sure that when this ad is dying, because once it dies, it stands still and starts casting. So even if you're the tank, you can run inside. You just got to go outside and take the damage. So you want to be using things like Dispersion, because it does hit really fucking hard. So use things like Dispersion, the Cloak of Shadows, all that shit.
So you just want to set up a rotation of people to do that. And the reason why you need to do a rotation, you can't have the same person doing it, is because you get a debuff. Once you do get hit by that, you get a debuff that lasts for 2 minutes that prevents you from taking it again. If you take it again, then yeah, it's like Hour of Twilight and Old Traxian, you just explode and that's it.
So you do need to set up like a 4-person rotation. Now also what happens once you take the explosion, if you're under 80% health, you will be stunned until you're healed up above 80% health, and you also take large ticking damage. Now that's why it's so good to put people out there that won't take any damage at all, like Cloak of Shadows, deterrence from hunters and stuff like that. If you are stunned, because if you haven't got enough people that can cheese it like that, then just make sure your healers do run out there, get them up very quickly and get inside, because while you are stunned, you don't receive the debuff that makes it so you'll insta-die. So when you need to absorb it again, it might not have run off, so you got to make sure that you clear this stun as soon as you possibly can. Now in regards to the tanks for this fight, you can pretty much do it the same as you do on normal mode. So you have one tank tanking the boss, and then one tank tanking the ads, and then you switch over so you can reset your stacks. A good way of doing it is to make it so the tanks never really take the explosion, because then it doesn't really matter if they're on the boss or on the ad. It just makes it a lot more cleaner, but you can try and like embed them into the rotation if you need to.
It's best for the tanks to use their hard cooldowns on the boss rather on the ad, because the ad will only do the initial, he'll only do one set of damage, that one explosion that you'll be using the cooldown for, which is kind of a waste. So you want to use other people in the rotation.
So practically you just need to keep making sure that you are absorbing these explosions, otherwise it is an insta-kill. And just remember there is a line of sight, so once it is outside you can't cast on it. However, channeled effects, if you start inside, it will continue on to outside, which is quite nice to know. So like for warlocks and shit like that.
Now once Elegon reaches 85% health, Phase 2 will start, and it's important, just like normal mode, that you don't transition the boss with a new ad up.
Yeah.
So you might need to either pick up DPS as an ad spawn, so you kill the boss without another ad spawning, or you might want to slow down so an ad can spawn and then you transition it. But you still need to keep in mind that the enrage timer on this fight is tight, so you can't be fucking around waiting around all day. Now Phase 2 is exactly the same. Elegon will still just stand there on the spot and cast Draw Power, which spawns the the 6 orbs in the set locations. You want to kill the orbs and reset your stack by leaving the energy vortex and then going back in. And it's just, you want to keep as much damage on the boss during this phase as well. One thing to note, if you're a Death Knight, if you get Glyph of Pestilence, you can spread all your diseases onto these orbs, which does a huge amount of damage. So if you are having problem killing these orbs, and it is, you know, if you are being slow, then use that. It does help out everyone quite a lot. You just want to assign all the DPS on each one individually and work it out on your own if they need help or whatever. You want to kill 4 waves of orbs, which will give you 5 stacks.
Because of course the boss gets the stack when he spawns the orbs, not when you kill the orbs. And once you have killed that 4th wave, well, you can always try for more waves, and more waves are better. But if you can't get any more waves than that, you don't really need more waves than that. Fuck the orbs and just nuke the shit out of the boss. As much DPS as you can get on this boss during these phase 2s are so important, especially the second set, which we'll talk about in a second anyway. Now in phase 3, exactly the same. Kill pylons, move from ads. Not going to bore you with the normal mode. It is pretty much exactly
the same. But one thing to note is that when a set of pylons does die, the boss will actually spawn ads quicker. So if you can set it up in such a way so all the energy focuses, pylons, whatever the fuck you want to call them, if they all die at the exact same time or very, very close to each other, that will minimise the amount of ads you have, and it will minimise the amount of damage on the raid.
So of course after phase 3, after you killed all the pylons, phase 1 will start again. Just make sure you keep up the rotation of who's taking the explosion from the ads up, because of course otherwise you'll insta-die. And yeah, just make sure you drop your stacks and then nuke the boss down to 50% health. When the next phase 2 will start, just make sure you transition it properly so you don't get an ad spawning as soon as phase 2 starts, because that fucks you up.
Now this second phase is the most important one. You want to get the boss down as low as you possibly can, because you want to hit him to be on the lowest possible health when going into the last phase.
And then you just go into phase 3 again after you kill 4 waves of orbs or whatever, or 5 if you can, but of course 4. And then just kill the pylons, and then phase 1. The last phase 1 comes again, which is exactly the same on normal, except everything hurts a lot fucking more.
Yeah, the damage in this phase is incredibly high, and you probably going into this phase want to use various different raid cooldowns. Like in this particular footage you're watching now, there's quite a lot of druids, so there's a lot of tranquilities and stuff like that going around. The transition is very, very deadly. Now during this last phase, there's 2 ways of countering it. In this particular footage you're watching now, people are dropping their stacks, they are running out and dropping their stacks, but if you believe that your healer's mana is good and you have lots of raid cooldowns up, there's nothing preventing all of you stacking right underneath the boss and just healing and nuking your tits off. However, if you don't have all the cooldowns available and your healers are looking like they're struggling a little bit, then you can go and drop your stacks, but you need to perfect the stack dropping, because if you do leave, there is all the lightning shit on the outside, and that does hurt a lot. You might even want to save health stones for this particular moment, that when you go and do drop your stacks in this very last phase, that as soon as you move out, you almost pre-cast your health potion, if that makes sense. I know it's not cast, but you press it as soon as you leave, because the ticking damage does start instantly.
So providing you can really do enough DPS, the boss will die. It's really massively down to your DPS overall, as long as you can bloody absorb the things in phase 1, which is the new addition to the fight, and you can drop your stacks properly and just do the normal mode, you shouldn't have too much issues. It's just a huge enrage time. You're going to wipe a lot on this boss if you haven't got the DPS, so that's practically it really.
So thanks for watching, guys. If this guide did help you out, please do drop us a like, it helps us out quite a lot. And make sure to comment, rate and subscribe.
And if you'd like to see any of our other 10-man heroic guides by FatBoss, then please do click up on the annotations on your screen now, and that'll take you over to those bosses by the magic of YouTube. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.